Hello class, Camden Smith here, reporting to you live from Springfield, Massachusetts. This is my consultative presentation, and today I'll be discussing the book I was so gladly assigned, Presentation Zen, by author Gar Reynolds. So, this book discusses presentation skills and tactics, and many of these tactics I will be applying to my real-life presentations. So, author Reynolds is a very decorated presentations expert who is currently living in Japan and has dedicated his entire life into teaching people how to give good presentations. The main idea of this book is the discussion of the simplicity of presentations in the professional environment. Practices of presentation design, development, and delivery, and my biggest outtake of this book is that he helps the audience come up with a simpler, more effective presentations. So I'm going to start off with the first point that stuck out to me when Reynolds opens up with a powerful analogy that sets the tone for the entire theme of the book, in my opinion. The analogy he made was comparing presentations to a Japanese bento, otherwise known as a box lunch. He says in chapter 1, a bento is presented in a simple, beautiful, and balanced way. He talked about how he sat down and ate a bento, and he really thought about the simplicity of it, how satisfying it was to sit there for 20 minutes and just enjoy it, similar as a presentation should be, with your full attention, calmness, and alertness. So I'm going to go through some tactics that I've identified throughout this book. These are all tactics that I will be applying to my presentations, so let's start here. So everyone knows with a good presentation, it must be planned out ahead of time. What Reynolds recommends is a planned analog. By planned analog, I mean writing down in a notebook what you're going to talk about and how you're going to talk about it. In this planned analog, he talks about stepping away from technology, taking a step out of your normal realm, and getting more into your brain and your imagination, and taking a step away from a computer, just sitting there in complete Zen. Hence the name of Presentation Zen. So he then goes into talking about the audience, which he believes is the most important part of presentations, which I completely agree with. You always want your audience at the edge of their seat. You don't want a bored audience. I mean, we've all been there. We've all sat through boring presentations that you don't want to be a part of. So by keeping the audience on task, that comes with your slides. Slides should be used as speaker tools. Less words, more images. You don't want to be reading. It's not a very effective way of presenting, having words on your slides. You can't, as a member of the audience, you can't be reading and listening at the same time. Visualization within the images in your slides, visualization lets the audience picture what you're saying as you're saying it, which leads to more interpretation. Reynolds says, and I quote, "Slides are incapable of standing by themselves." I completely agree with this. If slides can stand by themselves, what are they even doing there? Or what are you even doing there? Why are you presenting if the slides can present for you? You're up there for a reason when you're presenting. The slides, like I said, should only be there to help the audience create an imagery in their head and help you go on to your next points. Another piece of advice when it comes to opening your presentation was hook 'em early. Reynolds is a stickler to narration in presentations. He recommends that everyone tells a story. Your overall message will stick to the audience much more if you tell a narrative or a story. You don't want to just be sitting there boring people with facts. You want something people can relate to. A story that relates to what you're talking about, such as something that happened to you back in high school or something that people can truly relate to. All right. Another tactic that I learned is to keep a common theme. You want to let the audience know why you're there. You don't want to get off task and go off road. You want them to know why you're there and what you're teaching them. With common themes, it comes a lot along with the planning. You don't want to go off task. You don't want to You don't want to distract the audience. You want them to keep a main understanding of what you're saying. The last piece, the last tactic that Reynolds talks about is very unique. I haven't heard much about this, but I'm for sure going to try it, since Reynolds says, and I quote, "One of the most important tactics is ... but he says, show or do the unexpected." When we as an audience member are surprised, we are engaged. Take people on a journey of discovery. So that might sound pretty complicated, but an example is ask a question that's unanswerable, an impossible question, and then answer it. It's all about interpretation. When the audience is surprised or unexpected, they tune right in. They want to learn exactly what you're saying. So throughout this book, I've learned very many presentation tactics, as I stated, and Reynolds has taught very many tips and tricks. And yeah, great read. Very glad I was assigned this. Have a great night.